Hi, welcome to the second of our short videos aimed at helping parents understand a little bit more about what we're doing in tutorials to help support students during lockdown and manage remote learning effectively. So in the first video, we looked at some simple ideas to help students get into positive habits and routines when studying from home. Today, we're going to look at the uncertainty that lockdown can bring and a really simple strategy to help students manage that. We're really proud of how our students are working during lockdown and the resilience that they're showing. But understandably, there is some uncertainty and questions that students have got about college. Through our one-to-one discussions, we've tried to highlight what the key questions are that students have. Now, it can be difficult for us as a college at the moment because there are answers that we can't give, and as soon as we're able to do that, we'll share that information with parents and students. But I'll share with you the list of the common themes. You may want to pause it at this stage and have a look at the points individually, and just to see if your son or daughter has had any discussions at home about how they're feeling about these points. What the research shows is quite clearly uncertainty is a natural part of life, but the longer it can go on, the more stressful it can potentially become. The research also shows that it's the uncertainty itself rather than the outcome that becomes the stressful factor, because people are unable to prepare for an outcome. So I'm going to share with you a simple activity that we've gone through with students in tutorial to help them manage uncertainty more effectively.
When it comes to school, and indeed in life, at any given stage, there are one of three things that you could choose to focus on. The first thing are the things you can't change. And when people focus on things they can't change, it tends to make them really stressed and frustrated, as there's nothing they can do to improve it. Second are the things that you can influence. This is certainly better than focusing on things you can't change, but it's still not ideal. And the third and final thing are the things that you can control. And when people focus on the things they can control, it tends to improve both their motivation and their performance. So, what does this mean for you? Well, perhaps the best way of illustrating this is for you to draw the diagram that's coming up right now on a piece of paper in front of you. Now, think about any event that is coming up in the near future where you're going to have to perform well. So, think about that event and think about the things that you are worried about. The things that you're worried about that you can't change, well, write them down in the area marked can't change. The things that you can only influence, well, mark those down in the area marked influence. And then finally, in the center bit, write down all the things that you are worried about that you can actually control. So now that you've written those things down on your diagram, let's use the diagram to decide what things we should be focusing on and what things we should not be focusing on.
We've had some really positive feedback from students when we've used this activity. I think the fact that it gives them that element of control over the situation really helps, and quite often it'll come back to similar things, and similar things to what we discussed in the first video in relation to making sure people are attending the lessons, making sure people are doing the work that they should be doing outside of formal lessons and study periods, making sure people are asking staff for help when they have any questions or things that they're unsure about. So there's a nice simple activity there that you might want to speak to your son or daughter about if they are feeling anxious about any aspects of college life. But what we're advising students is very much these 3 points here about focusing on what matters, taking one day at a time, and accepting what they can't control, just to help to keep things in perspective. If students feel like they need some additional support and help, we are signposting people to the COOF website, which is an excellent resource. And also you've got the opportunity to contact your son or daughter's progress tutor via CEDA.